We keep on hearing this phrase in news every single day that the trade deficit between India and China is rising. Even though both the nations are not at good terms with each other, but still the trade between them is always on a rise. Why is it so? In today's video, we will be looking into all the aspects related to the trade deficit between India and China. Hello and welcome to the Infocus series section of Drishti IAS. I am Aisha Singh, and in today's video, we will be discussing about that why is India's imports from China rising. So first let us look at the timeline of the video. First we'll be looking at the news, then why China is the second biggest trading partner of India, then India's top 10 trading partners apart from China, then what is the trading history or the bilateral trade between India and China, what India imports from China and what China buys from India. In the end, what are the steps taken by the Indian government to counter dependence on Chinese imports, and then the prelims MCQ and a mains practice question. This topic is of relevance from General Studies paper 3, that is economy. This topic is very important, especially from the mains perspective, that you should be able to know about India's trading partners, its history, and what India is exporting to all the nations, and then what India imports from them. So let us look at the news, and the news has been taken from the Indian Express, and it says India's imports from China rose sharply post Galwan clash. What trade data shows? So this is saying that the Galwan clash which took place in 2020 June, after that and after the COVID pandemic, the trade between India and China that presumed, and now that China and India is now again having a trade deficit, it means that India is importing more from China and is exporting less. They are importing more, it means they are taking more stuff from China but are not giving that much, but is giving less to China. So this is what is the news is all about. See, what has recently happened is we have seen that what is happening in Arunachal Pradesh, Tawang, that both India and China are at loggerheads with each other. So fresh demands for snapping of trade ties with China is rising because of what is happening in the Tawang. So people are demanding that we should stop trading with China, and India's imports from the China spiked sharply post the Galwan clash. But even though people want we should stop trading with China, but if we will see in terms of the bilateral trade, in terms of economic perspective, then this cannot take place. This is not an easy task that we stop importing things from China, because economic aspect is all the more complicated that we directly cannot just say it that we should not import things or material from China, but there is many more other things related to this. So today we will be looking into all those stuff. First, let us talk about that China is the second biggest trading partner of India, and if a country is second biggest trading partner, you can imagine that the quantity of trade that we are doing with them. Then China is India's second biggest trading partner after the United States. So it means the India's biggest trading partner at present is United States and second is China. So in 2021-2022, the bilateral trade between India and China stood at 115.83 billion US dollars, which is 11.19% of India's total merchandise of trade, which is amounting 1035 billion. While when we talk about the United States, so United States or the US was just above China with 11.54%. So if you will see that the distance between China and US is not that much. So see, China is giving 11.19% while US is 11.54%. It means the distance between India's largest trading partner and India's second largest trading partner is very less. So China is exporting 115.83 billion while US is exporting 119.48 billion. But the big difference between the two nations, that is India's trade with US and India's trade with China is that with US, India has a trade surplus. With US, India has a trade surplus. The most important word is trade surplus. It means that India is exporting, like for example, this is India and this is US. It means trade surplus means we are exporting more to US while we are importing less. And on the other hand, the problem that India and China, the bilateral trade between India and China is that with China we have trade deficit. Trade deficit means that instead of US, imagine this is China. It means that India is exporting less to China but is importing more. From China. It means China is sending us more items as compared to what India is sending to China. So this is the issue, that with US we have a trade surplus but with China we have a trade deficit. So with US, India has a trade surplus of 32.85 billion while China has a trade deficit of 73.31 billion, and which is the highest for any country. We have a huge trade deficit with China, and that is what is creating problem, that we are importing more from them but we are not able to export to them. Then India's trade deficit with China was double as compared to the previous year level, and it was an all-time high, and it is expected that in coming time the trade deficit will even more widen between China and India. Now let us talk about that India's top 10 trading partners apart from China and United States. As we all know, on first number we have United States and second is China, even though the distance between them is not much. So apart from US and China, there are 8 other countries and regions of India's top 10 trading partner, and this is on the basis of 2021-2022, and those 8 countries are UAE, Saudi Arabia, we take crude oil, Iraq, we take crude oil, then comes Singapore, Hong Kong, Indonesia, we take a lot of palm oil from them, then comes South Korea. South Korea is all about electronics and also vehicle, 4-wheelers, and then there is Australia. So these are India's top 10 trading partners. Then let us talk about the history of India and China trade, that how China became a major trading partner of India. So till 20 years ago, you can take the time of around 2000, then China featured or China figured at the 10th position. So if we talk about 2001 to 2012, so it was not that China has been a major trading partner of India since the very starting. No, it is not the case. But China has moved up slowly. So during the time of 2001 to 2012, China used to be at the position of 10th or 12th rank, and before that it was even lower. So it was at 12th position in 2000, 2001, then 16th in 1999, 2000, 18th in 1998 to 1999. So if you will see that with the increase of time, 1980s, then 1990s, then 2000, 2010, China has slowly and gradually moved up the ladder when it comes to being a major trading partner of India. Then during the time of 2002 and 2003, China started an upward march and it became India's top trading partner in 2011-12, and then from 2013 to 2018, China was the top trading partner of India. Then after 2018, for the next 2 years, that is 2018-19 and 19-20, US surpassed China and became the top trading partner of India. But then again in 2020-21, China again became India's top trading partner, and for present scenario, US is the top trading partner of India. So with this you can see that if you have to talk about it, how China became the top trading partner of India, then you can say that it is not that China has always been a major trading partner of India. No, slowly and gradually their manufacturing China became a manufacturing hub and the industrialization expanded. So with time, China started moving up the ladder and became a major trading partner of India, and then the top trading partner of India. Now let's talk about that what India imports from China. What are the things that we are taking from China? First and foremost, as we all know, is the electronics, the electrical things that we take from them. So if we talk about 2021-22, then it is 15.42% of India's total imports came from China. So imagine out of 100%, 15% is coming from a single country. Then the top commodities that we buy from China are, first and foremost, as I said, that is the electrical machinery. And one of the major positives about the Chinese electrical machinery is, and that which for the other countries is becoming a problem, is that the Chinese electrical products or the electrical machinery is very economic. People are able to buy it. So this is the problem that in India we are having, that if we do not import these electrical things from India, the made in India things will be able to compete with the Chinese products or not. This is what the biggest question mark is. Then apart from electrical machinery and equipment and parts, there are sound recorders and reproducers. Then there is television image and its parts. Then nuclear reactors, boilers, machinery and mechanical appliances, and then organic chemicals. Chemicals is also a very important stuff, and a majority of stuff that we get from China. Then plastic and plastic articles, and then the fertilizers. And out of all of these, the most valued Chinese item that we buy from them is the personal computers or the laptops, and also the mobile phones. If you will see that most of the mobile phones in the market at present is from China. The laptop and the mobile market is dominated by the Chinese products. While if we talk about the United States, then what we import from United States is petroleum crude, cooking coal, diamonds, almonds, turbojets, etc. This is what we get from United States. Now let us talk about that what China buys from India. What is it that we are exporting to them and they are importing from us? Then in 2021, India's exports to China stood at 21.25 billion. See, export is 21.25 billion while import is 94.57 billion. So look at the difference. Okay, then what China is buying from India is ores, slag and ash. Then comes the organic chemicals. This is what we are sending to them. Then comes the mineral fuels, mineral oils and products of their distillation, bituminous substances, mineral waxes, iron and steel. Then aluminium and articles of aluminium, cotton. Cotton is what we produce at a major level. Then comes the steel industry of India is also very good, and then the minerals is also. If we talk about the United States, then what we are exporting to United States is diamonds, gold jewelry, then turbojets and shrimps. These are the things that we are sending to them. Now let us talk about that what are the steps that has been taken by the Indian government to counter dependence on China, because we all know that, see, China is a manufacturing hub of the world. It has created a niche for itself when it comes to, I would say now, even steel, cotton. Then you talk about the electrical machinery and items. There is just no competition for China. And the major problem that we have, if we will not buy the Chinese item, then what will we buy? Do we have the sufficient amount of money in our pocket? Do we have that much of pocket that we can go and buy some other expensive stuff? Because there are many other things also available in the market, but they are extremely expensive. And when we talk about the Indian demography, then we very well know that when we talk about the Indian demography, then we very well know that we will not be able to afford all the expensive stuff, or the majority of the population of India will not be able to buy all those expensive stuff. Then what is the alternative that we have? We will go only to buy the Chinese material from the market, and this is what is creating the problem, that at present there is no alternative of the Chinese material in the market. Then as we all know that there are ban on Chinese apps, and with almost every year or two we keep on hearing that some of the Chinese apps that are being banned, and one of the popular one is TikTok, that which became extremely famous in our country also. Then increasing scrutiny of Chinese investments in many sectors. Now that Chinese investments is also not allowed, that they can come and invest in whichever sector they want, that is not also allowed now. Then a decision to keep Chinese companies out of the 5G trials. We know about what happened with the Xiaomi and many other companies of the China who wanted to participate in the 5G trials, but we as a nation, India did not support the idea. Now that government has also made its prior approval mandatory. Government has also made the prior approval mandatory. Government will see into it now. For foreign investments from countries that share land border with India. So, all those countries which shares the land border with India, if they want to make a foreign investment in India, then the government will look into this, and it needs a prior approval of the government. So, these are few of the steps that Indian government has taken very recently, and is also taking much more stricter steps so that the Chinese investment does not increase much or on a wider level in our country, and especially the critical sectors of our country. Now let's talk about the prelims MCQ, and you people need to tell me the answer in the comment section. And it says, consider the following statements. First, China is India's second biggest trading partner. Second, India has trade surplus of more than 100 billion with US. Third, India imports petroleum, crude, cooking oil, LNG, etc. from China. And you people have to tell the correct options, and the codes are 1 only, 3 only, 2 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. So try doing this question. The last point is the mains practice question, and this is a 150 words question. This says, on grounds of increasing trade deficit with China, why is it very difficult to curb trade with China? What are the points that we as a nation is not able to stop our trade with China? Then the command given here is discuss. So you can do your answer writing practice. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time, keep reading and keep writing.